Here is the tutorial to sew the ECLISSE panties. The special feature of this design is the lace front panel. The finishes are simple, using the same picot elastic lace at the waist and around the leg openings. There's nothing complicated here. This is a true introduction to lingerie sewing. So, let's get started. To make this pair of panties, I chose mesh for the back and the side panels, but you can use any knit fabric as long as it has at least 20% stretch. For the front, I use stretch lace. For the gusset, use cotton or bamboo jersey. Anything soft, since it sits directly against the skin. Finally, you'll need elastic lace for the waistband and the leg openings. First step, assemble the front of the panties. I chose textured lace, so you can clearly feel the difference between the right side, where the texture is, and the wrong side, which is smooth and soft. With mesh, there's no right or wrong side. Just make sure the two pieces are symmetrical. Once assembled, the front of the panties will look like this. I have a notch here. It marks where the panel should stop. Using the top reference point and this notch, we can pin everything in place. The key point is that the curve of the mesh follows the curve of the lace. Do the same on the other side. We'll sew a basting stitch at 5 millimeters. It's just a straight stitch on the sewing machine to hold the fabric before using the serger.
Personal tip: shift your needle slightly to the right to get a 5 millimeter distance between the needle and the edge of the presser foot.
Now that both sides are basted, we simply serge the seams at 7 millimeters. The seams are now finished. We'll press them flat so everything looks neat. Iron the seam allowances toward the outside. Do the same on the other side. Then I'll add a small stitch on the sewing machine here, 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 and here to keep the seams flat. First, the gusset. Take the widest part, place the back on top, then the front, with the wrong side facing you. We're going to sew here, but sewing 3 layers at once can be tricky, so I prefer to start this way, with 2 layers, the gusset and the back.
Yes, it's easier this way.
Then I add the front piece, so the right side, the textured lace side, is facing the fabric. And now we move to the serger. Pins on a serger are not ideal and can even be dangerous. So either you're very careful and keep your pins, or you replace them with clips. Mesh can be a bit slippery, so another option is to sew a basting stitch at 5 millimeters first and then finish with the serger. One side of my gusset is now sewn. For the other side, I serge it to get a clean finish. We'll use the remaining notch on the front piece. We'll match it with the gusset, like this. Same as before, we sew a 5 millimeter basting stitch to keep the gusset in place. At the end, you'll have a small opening here. That's not a problem at all. If you look at ready-to-wear panties, it's the same. There's often an opening in this area. It's a perfectly standard construction method. I turn the panties right side out and match the side edges together.
Careful. You're using a serger. Pins are shown here, but you can use clips as long as everything stays in place.
Then we serge the side seams here and here. The panties are now assembled. Seams are always a key issue in lingerie, especially with slightly transparent mesh. I want the seam allowances to be pressed toward the back. It looks much cleaner. We turn to the wrong side. I press the seams to the side and sew a small stitch here and another one here at 5 millimeters so the seams stay in place and don't twist. Otherwise, after all this work, you could end up with something that looks like this. I take my elastic lace by the meter. No need to overthink it, no measuring. I start in a strategic spot where the join won't really be visible. Under here is a good place. I place the elastic lace with the soft side facing up because that's the side that will be in contact with the skin. The slightly rougher side goes on the wrong side. Then I just follow the curve of the leg opening. Don't pull too much on the fabric or the elastic. Adjust the tension as you sew.
Honestly, if the tension isn't perfect, once the panties are worn, you won't even notice.
And we sew with a zigzag stitch along this edge. Most importantly, make sure not to catch the picots in the stitching. Use a fairly open zigzag stitch, both in width and length. I'm setting mine to 3.5. Then do a few tests, depending on the width of your elastic lace, to make sure it doesn't catch the picots. I place the elastic lace in position. I rest my presser foot on the slight thickness so it doesn't struggle, and I line everything up. You need to find a reference point on your presser foot. For me, it's this line. It matches the edge of the elastic and the edge of the fabric.
See how useful the needle down option is? It lets you reposition calmly, without everything sliding around.
At the end, for a clean join, overlap the picots of the elastic lace by 2 to 3 centimeters. Then trim the excess.
Here's my join. It looks good. I'll trim off the excess. Once it's turned, you can't see anything. If it really bothers you, you can trim 1 or 2 picots from the elastic underneath at the join. Now that the first pass of the elastic is sewn, we fold it over like this. So this is the right side. We fold it over. It naturally falls into place. And now we stitch all the way along like this. This time, instead of a basic zigzag stitch, I'm using a 3-step zigzag. You can use a regular zigzag if you prefer. I reposition myself where I started. The beginning is a bit thicker, so it's better for the presser foot to start there. I still use the same reference point here, the mark that lines up with the fabric edges. I keep the fabric folded. The picots are visible. We're on the right side. If needed, at the beginning, you can gently pull the fabric from behind to help the machine. Here, no tension is needed. Just follow the fabric. My elastic lace is now attached with a nice zigzag stitch. The panties are finished. And thanks to all those little basting stitches, the seams stay nicely flat. And it looks clean, on both the right and wrong sides, even with the sheer fabric.